I call your attention to the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis, the 7th chapter. And we're going to read a few of the following verses. Genesis, the 7th chapter, verses 13 through 16. Genesis, the 7th chapter, verses 13 through 16. And I'll be reading from the New King James Version. And we will find these words. On the very day Noah and Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, entered the ark, they and every beast after its kind, all cattle after their kind, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2, of all flesh, in which is the breath of life. So those that entered, male and female, of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him. And the Lord shut him in. And the Lord shut him in. I would like to use as a subject, ride it out until it is over. Ride it out until it is over. Now, I know that this situation that we are in is difficult to ride out. We have been in quarantine for 2 months, and I know people are eager to get back to work and their daily activities. I understand the economic impact this pandemic is having on family and businesses. I know the unemployment is getting higher. I understand young people have been robbed of graduation ceremonies, proms, and other celebrations. I understand the loss this pandemic has caused. We all have been impacted in one way or another. All of us have made adjustments during this crisis. The adjustments we are making may be frustrating, but in our efforts to get back to normalcy, let us not put foolishness over faith. Let us not think of ourselves, but others who will be impacted by our decisions. What we do affect others, and what others do affect us. Life is interrelated this way. We all want this pandemic to be over soon. We all want to get back to some sense of normalcy. We all have had our lives disrupted in one way or another. But to put ourselves and others at risk because we want to get back to business as usual is irresponsible. We can build an economy again. We can create more jobs. We can gain again what we have lost. We can readjust calendars to make up lost school days. There are a number of things that we can do to thrive again, to prosper again, and to socialize again. But what we cannot do is give life to those who may die due to our premature decision to open up states for business again. We can do a lot of things in life, but we don't have the power to give life once it is gone. This pandemic has taken almost 90,000 lives, and it would take even more if we don't act wisely and responsibly. We are in a situation where rushing to get back to business can cause more deaths and the second wave of this pandemic than the first wave. Dr. Fauci, the top health official, has warned Opening too soon could result in unnecessary suffering and death. If we don't learn from history, we are doomed to repeat it. Did you know that in 1918, a little more than 100 years ago, the Spanish flu took the lives of 25 to 50 million people around the world? They did what we are doing now, wearing masks, washing hands, and practicing social distancing to flatten the curve of the virus. Their efforts were paying off. They were able to slow down the virus to save many lives. But once the virus slowed down, the people were so eager to get back to their social lives that they began to let up practicing the restrictions. And as a result, the virus killed more people during the second wave than the first, because the people were not patient enough to ride it out until it was safe to socialize again. People are repeating the same mistake today that people made 100 years ago. This mistake is not only dangerous, but it's deadly. And I'm afraid if we ignore the lessons of history, more people will perish. Karl Marx was right. He said history repeats itself. First as tragedy, second as a farce. If we don't learn anything else during this corona pandemic, I hope we learn at least the fruit of the Spirit. I hope we learn love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I hope the fruit of the Spirit is just as contagious as this coronavirus. Then maybe we'll have a better world in which to live when this crisis is over. I agree with Thomas Paine, who wrote the famous book, Common Sense. And he said that these are times that try men's souls, that try women's souls. This crisis will bring out the best in us or the worst in us. Now, as a pastor and as a shepherd, it is my responsibility to keep the sheep safe. I want to encourage us to ride out this pandemic. Let us not make the mistake that people made 100 years ago. Let us ride out this pandemic in faith until it is safe to socialize again. If we can ride out other tragic events in our nation, we can surely ride out this pandemic until it is over. We are resilient people, and nobody can take away our resiliency. And I've often said that it is irresponsible because most of us are the frontline workers, while the rich, while those who have luxury are still quarantining themselves, but pushing the frontline workers out to contract the virus. And then when they get the virus, the hospital will turn them away and they only go home to die. And disproportionately, African Americans are dying of this virus. And I want to encourage us to learn how to think for ourselves. And I agree with T.D. Jakes when he said that we are the CEOs of our lives. Don't let anybody tell you when to go out and put your life on the line when you know that you could contract this virus and then possibly die. I want to say to you, I shared with you earlier, Isaiah 26:20, that says, "Come, my people, enter into your chambers and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little moment until the indignation is past, because God has moved out of his place to punish the nations for their sins, injustice, inequality, all of the things that are killing people around the world. God has risen up to punish the nations, and we got to ride it out until it is over. My brothers and sisters, this pandemic will pass, and God is reorganizing things. God is resetting things for your benefit and for my benefit. But until that time comes, we must do our part and practice safety and social distancing until it is safe to gather again. Let us not put economics over precious life. Don't put foolishness over faith and commerce over common sense. God knows how to keep us. God knows how to provide for us. God knows how to protect us during this pandemic crisis. But we must be willing to ride this pandemic out in faith until it is safe again. Just as God kept Noah and his family during the flood crisis, God would do the same for us in our crisis. We have to learn how to ride out situations and circumstances. Our crisis is not as severe as Noah, but he and his family had to ride it out until it was safe again. It rained 40 days and 40 nights. The flood waters were rising every hour of the day and night. Yes, lives were being lost as the flood waters continued to rise. People had adequate time to repent, but they never did. So the Lord shut Noah and his family in the ark, which means that nobody could go out and nobody could come in. It was a time to ride out the flood. Regardless of what the politics were at the time, it was time to ride out the flood. Regardless of who the president was at the time, it was time to ride out the flood. And Noah and his family had to ride out the flood. Regardless of how long it would take, Noah and his family had to ride it out until it was over. Now, at least we're in our homes. At least we have comfortable beds to lie in. At least we have fresh air to breathe. At least we can enjoy some measure of quietness. But can you imagine being on the ark with all kinds of animals on board? Can you imagine the stench, the different animal sounds, and the uncomfortableness of being rocked from side to side as the ark was moving across the waters? Can you imagine the queasiness that they must have felt while the ark was constantly in motion? Can you imagine being in the ark where personal space may have been a problem? As difficult as it were being in the ark, and as frightening as it were to hear the cries of people knocking on the ark, pleading to be let in while drowning in the flood waters, Noah and his family had to ride it out until it was over. They had to ride it out because there was more danger outside the ark than it was inside the ark. They may have been frustrated. They may have been impatient. They may have developed doubts and fears. They may have been emotionally sickened because they couldn't open the door to help drowning neighbors and countrymen. But they had to ride it out until it was over. And even when it stopped raining, they had to wait another 150 days to allow the water to recede. Noah sent out a dove 2 times to see if it was safe to get off the ark. When the ark rested on the top of Mount Everett, and when it was safe to get off the ark, God instructed Noah and his family to come out of the ark so that the world could be repopulated. The point I am making is they had to ride it out until it was over. Noah and his family had to develop patience through all of this. Now, there's no doubt, while being in the ark, they became frustrated. They became irritated. They may have wanted to get off of the ark at times. They may have wanted a sense of normalcy. And they probably went through their emotional ups and downs. They may have had their family arguments and got on one another's nerves. Whatever they experienced in the ark, they had to be patient and ride it out until it is over. You see, my brothers and sisters, we are too much in a hurry as a nation. We need to slow down and reconnect with ourselves, reconnect with God, reconnect with family, reconnect with our values, and reconnect with our purpose in life. We run so much that we have forgotten who we are and whose we are. I know it's been too much of quarantine, but we need to develop patience and ride this pandemic out until it's over. The Bible says, let patience have a perfect work, that we may be perfect and entire, lacking in nothing. The point of this whole message is to ride it out until it's over. Whatever we need to do to ride it out until it's over, do that. If we need to weep through the night, joy comes in the morning, but ride it out until it's over. If we need to pray, prayer changes things, but ride it out until it's over. If we need to sing, sing waters the roots of our souls, but ride it out until it is over. If we need to walk around, knowing that he walks with us and he talks with us and he tells us that we are his own, but ride it out until it is over. If we need to read his word, read it, study it. His word is a lamp to our feet and a light on our pathway. Ride it out until it is over. Wait on the Lord and ride it out until it is over. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage. He shall strengthen your hearts. Wait, I say, on the Lord and ride it out until it is over. I know it may be rocky. I know it may be frustrating. I know it may be bewildering, but ride it out until it is over. And when it is over, God is going to tell us, as he told Noah and his family, come on out and now go and evangelize and tell the world how I kept you during this time. Tell the world how I blessed you. Tell the world what I've done for you. Ride it out until it is over. And so, our brothers and sisters, whatever you do, listen to God's voice during this time, not the politicians who are controlled by the business leader, not those who are in the world, but listen to what God is saying to us. And he said, ride it out until it is over. And if we ride it out until it's over, God is going to tell us, as God told Noah and his family, you can come out again. You can prosper again. You can build again. You can repopulate again. Whatever you thought you were missing, you can do it again. But you had to ride it out until it is what? Safe again. May God bless you and may God keep you. I know there's a lot of bereavement. I know there's a lot of sorrow. I know there's a lot of separation, and there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of fear. But I want you to know that we got to ride it out until it's over. And when it's over, joy will come. When it's over, peace will come. When it's over, prosperity will come. God knows what we need. But God is saying to us, be still and know I'm God, and ride it out until it's all over. May God bless you and may God keep you. And if there's someone who don't know Jesus Christ in the part of your sin, if there's someone who is struggling or fearful or doubtful or wondering what the future is going to be like, I want to introduce you to the one that kept Noah. I want to introduce you to the one that even kept Moses, who had to ride it out on the Nile River until it was over. You and I are taking a ride on life's journey, and we're going to have to ride it out until it is over. And I'm so glad that we had soldiers who went before us and told us that we are on the old ship of Zion, and there's no danger in God's water. Ride it out, because Jesus is the captain, and he has never, ever lost a patient. The old ship of Zion has stopped to take on more passengers, but he wants us to understand that once we come into the ark of safety, which is Jesus Christ, he's going to shut us in. That means that nothing inside or outside can ever hurt us. Nothing can ever defeat us. But we got to learn and have patience and ride it out until it is over.